Why am I being ghosted? Why people are ignoring my messages or my attempts to contact them? So let's look at it a little bit. What can happen, especially if you're an immigrant trying to do business in Canada. Click here the subscribe button, set up the alert. If the content of this video is useful for you, let us know by clicking the like button. So what we realize here is that people feel after some time there's a lack of engagement that they find very hard to understand. They say, well, in many cases, there was an initial contact, right? Somebody that we knew made the introduction, or we ran into somebody at some random event, or maybe we were at a trade show. And typically there is that feeling of connections, like, wow, I kind of briefly told them what I do, they were interested, and oh, that's great. And now I attempted contact, and several times I'm following up, and I'm not hearing anything back from them. So what's happening? So people tend to have this perception of like, and people start to theorize in their brain all sorts of reasons that are not the true reasons why it's happening. Starts again with a connection that was made in a very, very good rapport with both sides. People even may have given you the business cards, hey, contact me, and call me, let's set something up. And then there's a point where messages go completely unanswered. So what may be happening? There's typically only two reasons that I have identified when that happens, right? And again, just as a backdrop to that, remember one thing, Canadians are very polite. Canadians are really polite. They're never a Canadian is going to tell you, don't call me, right? They say, oh, sure, call me. And just like feedback in terms of what you're trying to sell, if they don't believe what you're trying to sell is of really good quality or is going to succeed, they're not going to tell you, oh, you're selling something really bad. They're going to say, well, yeah, you may test to see how it works. And then there's always learnings. And you can, like, Canadians are very, very, very bad at telling you what you're doing wrong, right? They kind of let you figure out on your own what you need to change in your approach. So we need to be really tuned to that reality, because nobody's going to give us the straight feedback saying, oh, this is it. I didn't like that you called my phone or did you texted me. They're not going to do that. They're going to receive the text from you and say, well, I don't like to be contacted like this, right? Or an email, very, like, depending on the tone of the email, depending on what you write, they're not going to say, well, I didn't like the way you contacted. They're just going to ignore you. It's just easier. They don't have to deal with it. So what are the things that we can be doing maybe that are wrong, that are ticking people off and that are making people not want to reply to us? Channel of communication and message. So you may be using the wrong way to connect with that person. I personally, when somebody tells, touch base with me, I ask them, how do you prefer? Do you prefer that I call you? Do you prefer a LinkedIn contact? Do you prefer that I send you an email? Do you prefer that what do you prefer? Ask people when they tell you to connect with them later, ask them, okay, if I have their business card here, say, okay, what's the best way to contact you? Do you prefer a phone call or do you prefer an email? These are typical things. Or maybe the guy's going to tell you, oh, no, I'm going to be at that event. So we talk then at the event. So talk at the event. So try to be respectful so you're not intruding on the person's space. Especially with so many technologies we have today, there are different cultures, not only geographically, but even in terms of generation, right? Some people will send you a direct message on your phone or through an app or through LinkedIn. Some people are not even on LinkedIn at all, depending on how old they are, in which industry they work. WhatsApp, it's another communication tool that's used very widely all over the world. Some people just don't even have that installed in their phone, or if they get a WhatsApp message, they find it weird professionally, right? They use that to stay in touch with family, for example. Phone calls is another thing. Some people say, oh no, just call me. Call the office and tell them that you want to talk to me, and speak to so-and-so, they're going to connect your call with me. And some people, like, if you get a phone call, it's like, who the hell is calling me? Like, how dare they be so intrusive? So the first thing is like channel of communication. The channel of communication you're choosing may not be the one that a person prefers to be contacted. So if you have any idea what's the common custom of that type of line of work, you will know, okay, these kind of guys are always on the road. If you ever want to get a hold of them, don't send them an email. They're not going to have time to sit down and answer. Like, call them, leave them a message, or text them, right? other areas of business is going to be, don't ever call this guy. They're always in meeting. They hate to be interrupted. And you're always going to get the voicemail, and they don't even check because they think it's all spam. So if you want to open the line of communication, it has to be an email. So you need to know that. And then the second thing, channel communication is one thing, but the other thing is the message. And in messaging, there's really like two ways to go here. And here's the mistake that I see people making. It doesn't work in many cases to have a very open scope of communication. What do I mean by that? It's like contacting somebody and say, hey, we met the other day at the event and so, and I was thinking, do you want to have a coffee? And the guy's like, geez, I'm busy, right? It's like, I don't want to have a coffee. So for that, I strongly encourage people to have a more closed communication with something specific. If you can think about bullet points, right? Having one or two, perhaps three, but even three may be too much. When you're asking somebody for their time, they want to know why. Why would they not work on their business? Why would they not be enjoying some leisure time? Why would they not be spending time with their clients or their employees to be talking to you, right? It's a valid question. It's a valid question. So we need to make it very easy for them to decide that it's a good idea to meet with us. And having an open question, oh no, we had a great conversation at the other event. So he just told me to call. Yeah, we're going to have a great time to have a conversation again. Well, maybe they were there in a more relaxed manner because they had already allocated that time, and what else they would do? They would talk to you, of course. But now, getting in the middle of their busy schedule and asking for their time to talk to you may feel different being approached in the middle of an event that you're there to network anyways. If this all seems a little bit complicated, remember we have several ways to help you. We have products that you can use on your own, like you can read, you can watch videos, you can get prepared, but also you can join a group here in our platform called Your Business in Canada, where you take steps together with other people that are building their success for their business here in Canada, right? And we guide you along the process, right? But let's get back to the content of this video, right? So how can you get people to actually respond to you then? And the first thing is you need to know how they like to be contacted. Like I mentioned, if it's somebody that's always on the road, they say, no, call me. Don't send any emails because emails I don't have time for, but call me and then we will figure out. You have to be patient, have to ask, what's the best time? I don't want to catch you in a bad time. Oh yeah, no, it's always good after 5:30 because then I'm driving home. I always have a 45-minute drive. Okay, now you know you're going to have undivided attention, right? You need to ask. You need to do a little bit of research, talk to other people that may work with that person, say, hey, what's the best way to get a hold of them? Email is great because email will give you the ability to have a track record, a written record of the conversation, but also you can diarize for follow-ups with your CRM. I mean, CRMs now are the customer relationship management softwares. They're increasingly sophisticated. You can also add text messages and phone messages. You can, any discussion you had, you can put in your CRM, but do use a CRM to do your follow-ups. Because here's the other thing. Sometimes it's not even that they're not interested in what you're saying. They don't like you or they don't like your product. It's just that they're busy. They don't have time right now. Oh, year end is coming, or we have the auditors in, or my key employee quit this week, or we have a big client with a problem now. So sometimes people, it's just not a great time for them, but doesn't mean they wouldn't want to talk to you at a different time, right? So that's why it's important to stay in contact. Like that thing, I already spoke to them once, they were not interested. Well, maybe it's not that they were not interested, it was just a bad time, right? Go back, like put that in a CRM, in a recurring, like have a methodology and a discipline to keep re-engaging with people. And email is a great way to do that because you can always pick the other email, you can create templates and you can send several templates in a very short period of time, right? And then don't be bombarding people because there's a fine tipping point where you start to annoy people. Typically here in Canada, people don't like to be contacted more often than, let's say, once a week or maybe 2 weeks or something like that. Somebody an email on Monday, they didn't answer. I'm already following up on Wednesday. They're like, Jesus, my kid was sick. I was home for 1 day. They were already following up, right? Give me a break. So people may feel a little annoyed that you're following up too aggressively. So typically leaving a week or a little bit more to do the follow-ups. And then if you finally did a few follow-ups and still you're not getting a hold of them, understand, okay, now collectively, maybe I didn't catch them in a bad day. It's a bad period. Maybe they're in the middle of something. They didn't, or whatever. They're sick. Or you never know. You really never know. Or somebody at home is sick or whatever. But then do get back to them after 3 months. Say, okay, 3 months ago I was trying to contact you, and at the time you didn't have a chance to connect. I hope that whatever it is that you were going through, at work, it's being tackled. And by the way, these things happen over these last 3 months that I think it's of your interest. Look at some interesting results you created for somebody similar to you. What about now? Is that a better time than it was 3 months ago when I was trying to talk to you? So let's do keep at this routine of communication, right? And the message has always to be, so this is the format and timing of communication. And the message, the more specific it is, the better it is. So having a message that's too open, say, yeah, let's get together. People are like, oh, Jesus, right? Unless they really like you for whatever reason, or they're related to you in a way through a common contact. But just getting together, the average person is too busy for that, right? So, but you have to be specific on the reason, and it has to be one reason for them. It's not like, oh, I'm really looking for this. I'd like to do the survey. They appreciate your time. It's like, Jesus, what you're giving me. I tend to think a bit of a reciprocation, right? You have to bring something to the table, right? To give them. Even when you think about this history of colonization that we had hundreds of years ago, even then people would bring gifts to exchange with the peoples, whatever they did later. It was not nice and whatnot. But even there's this common understanding that you need to provide something before you ask for something, right? There is reciprocation. So if you're following up with somebody, say, hey, what about now? Do you want to buy from me now? You didn't want 3 months ago. What about? That's not the right thing to do. It's okay, during these 3 months, look at this interesting learning we had. I remember you because I saw somebody with a problem similar to the one you had mentioned that you had. And look how interesting, this problem got solved this way. Yeah, that maybe, I hope that's useful. And what else? So do you want to get in touch? And because I want to show you this specific thing that wasn't ready 3 months ago, but now we have this thing I think you would like to see. So bring something new so that people feel more compelled that now is the right time. Always give them with the off-ramp, right? A way don't make people feel embarrassed that they didn't respond to you before. It's always, oh yeah, I understand, you're always busy, but now I have something new. Would you like to see it? I say, oh yeah, sorry, no, this is really interesting, let's get together. So people tend to respond well when we stay in touch over a longer period. And some people, to be honest, they will just ignore somebody because they say, well, if this is really important, I'm really important to them, they're going to come back and try again. Some people just don't even respond to a first attempt of communication. Anyways, I know a lot of this is very basic. A lot of this, you all know, but we get so busy in our day-to-day sometimes that we just forget some very basic stuff about human nature, about how people react to what we're trying to do. We're focused on the quality of what we sell, and we want to present that quality to that person so they can buy from us. But we forget they have a life outside that specific problem we're trying to solve for them, right? So that's all we're trying to do is make sure you are not ignored because maybe they have other things in mind. It's not priority at the time. But by understanding a little bit of these dynamics and just presenting the right information using the right channel at the right time, then maybe you can start an interesting conversation that can turn eventually into a very interesting and mutually beneficial commercial relationship. Okay? There's 2 more videos here that may be useful for you in this journey. Have a good one.